Welcome to Narratives and Nightcaps, books, beverages, and author conversations. We're back for a reading recap. I'm Bree.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Megan.
Hi, ladies. Take
Hi.
two.
Yes,
Take two.
Yeah, a take two. I wasn't sure if you were going to publicize that, but you know what? Listeners, we had some technical glitches earlier this week.
We're all about honesty on this.
Yes.
But I will say, Jordan, I liked your approach to it. It just meant that we all got to talk twice in person, or as in person as we can get in 1 week, which was great. It's great.
You know?
I liked it because it felt like we had a bit of a break in recordings because we kind of
did
everything in one swoop at one point. And so then all of a sudden I was like, oh man, I haven't talked to them in a minute.
I know.
I love it.
Well, this is our spoiler-free episode with all sorts of books to add to your TBR, things that we have. I think they're all recent reads for us, but recent-ish reads. So Megan, will you start us off with the books you want to talk about?
Yes, I will. And these are true to form, actual recent reads, completed in a timely fashion.
Look at you, Megan.
I'm so proud of myself.
We are proud of you too. Snaps for Megan.
Nice. So I set like a Goodreads reading goal, and my goal is 35 books. And up until now, I've just been like, oh, I got one every now and then. And this month they actually had like 3. And I'm like, yes.
Look at
so
you.
I'm actually doing it. I'm all of like,
Glen Coco.
Yes.
Well, for you, Glen Coco.
37% completed, and I have a lot more to go. So
I love it.
this is why the TBR is so helpful, because I can just keep, I want this one next, or no, I want to read this one. So
There you go.
perfect. So this one, we also kind of low-key already highlighted this, but I really want to talk about it because this was such a, like, I don't even know, I kind of describe it in my review too, but like, it is such a sad book, but I could not stop reading it. Like, I don't know what just drew me into it, but the storyline was just, I don't know, it was just such a beautiful story. So let me tell you about it. This is called Notes on Your Sudden Disappearance, and it is by Allison Espach. So this is my second book of hers. The first one is The Wedding People. So if you guys have or have not read that one, highly recommend it. Also a very great book. So the recap goes like this, and this is from Goodreads. Sorry, even not my own words. The summer before Sally Holt starts the 8th grade begins as a gloriously uneventful one. It's full of family trips to the beach and long afternoons at the local pool with her older sister, Kathy, which they mostly use as an excuse to ogle Billy Barnes, who works a concession stand there. A rising senior and the local basketball star, Billy has an unending source of intrigue for both girls since he jumped off the school roof in 5th grade, and their fascination with him is one of the few things the increasingly different sisters have in common. By summer's end, Billy and Kathy are an item, an unthinkable stroke of luck that ends in an even more unthinkable tragedy. Set over the course of 15 years, Notes on Your Sudden Disappearance is narrated by Sally as she addresses Kathy before, during, and after her death. We watch as Kathy's absence creates a gaping hole that only Billy, now firmly off limits to Sally, understands and might possibly begin to fill. Charting years of their shared history and missed connections, this book is both a breathtaking love story between two broken people who are unexplainably, inconceivably drawn to each other, and a sharp, observant coming-of-age story that looks at the ways people we love the most continue to shape our lives long after they're gone. So I guess, like, kind of spoiler, but like you kind of figured out pretty dang quickly. So Notes on Your Sudden Disappearance is the unfortunate, untimely death of the older sister in this story. And the whole novel it's almost written like a diary entry, if you will. So like every day, Sally, the younger sister, goes through their life together, what it was like when they were little girls to, when they were in high school, and she finally starts dating this boy that they've both mutually had a crush on and like talked about all through the night. And then what her life looks like now as adult Sally out in the world, still trying to navigate her grief of missing her older sister. So this was just I said, a mesmerizing book. I finished this in 3 days. I just did not want to stop reading it. It's
Wow.
extremely tragic.
Wow.
But the expression of loss and grief was depicted so incredibly well that I like physically felt it. Like I just like you read this book and it's like you almost feel this heaviness of like losing someone, even though it never happened to you, hopefully, knock on wood. So also, that being said, trigger warnings all around because this is about death. This is about um even like ideation of suicide, because you really learn about how Sally's parents are also dealing with the loss of their oldest child and what then her relationship looks like with them. And like her dad really kind of shut in on himself, whereas her mom did so, but just in like such a alcoholic type of way. And just like it just is such a crazy wonderful story, I think, that really shows a lot of how grieving can look depending on the person. So um I don't know, I just really enjoyed and appreciated this book. I don't know what drew me to it, but I could not stop reading, and I oddly want to like recommend it to everybody because I just feel like it's such a beautiful novel about how to go through life missing someone that means the most to you. So it's
Wow.
heavy, it's deep, it's love and lost, but it makes everything move forward and trying to navigate your life that way. So very refreshing in a really weird way. I'm not
It
sure
almost
to explain
made
it.
me think, Megan, I wanted to ask if you've read that. Do you remember it was really popular, especially when it was adapted to the series, The 13 Reasons Why by
Yes.
Jay
Yes.
Asher?
Mhm.
Your the setup, the synopsis, as well as your just descriptions and talking about feelings, like it almost brought me back to that one. And I haven't read that one yet, but it sounds like it's all handled really, really well, really tastefully, which is good.
Yes.
I questionably read 13 Reasons Why in like middle school or high school.
Yeah. Probably a
Oh, wow.
total.
That's a tough time to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I like distinctly remember reading
Did
that.
you
Like,
watch the series at all or no?
I watched the first season.
Yeah.
I didn't see like the others. I mean, I remember like being really not in like I remember just being really affected by that book when I read it when I was
Yeah.
younger. And so I was
Yeah.
super intrigued when they turned it in when they were adapting it to that series. And I watched season 1.
I think there
I
were
don't
only like 3, maybe, right? 2 or 3 seasons.
I think
I don't
so.
know. I
But
didn't.
I think the other seasons like very much departed from, I mean, they like took their own storyline, which
Yeah.
I don't always appreciate. So I think stopping at season 1 was probably a good call.
That's how I felt about, I don't, this is not the same thing, but The Handmaiden or The Handmaid's Tale.
Yes.
Like, same
Uh,
thing where, butchered that one, but The Handmaid's Tale,
Yes.
where the book, it was a required reading when I was in school. And then I watched the show and I had to stop after season 1 because then they departed very much from the story and it
Yeah.
like was
did
not,
it really?
yeah.
I didn't know that the
I think
show
there's
had
like
departed so
4
much from the
seasons.
books.
Oh,
Like,
there's more. Yeah, there's at
yeah.
least 5 or 6 now. I will
Yeah.
say
Oh, I knew there were multiple seasons. I didn't realize they departed so much from the
Mhm.
Well, because
books.
the book, I think Margaret Atwood came out and said that, like, yeah, the book was kind of meant to, like, make a point and end.
Right.
And the show, like, kept going.
carried it on.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I walked in on my parents watching one scene in that movie or that show, and I was like, yep, nope, this is exactly why I'm not watching this.
Oh.
But I have contemplated reading the book. I have.
Yeah.
The book's good, but I think I'd put it in the same camp. It sounds like Megan with this one, like, deep, dark, emotional.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So
Wow.
trigger warnings, everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I added it to my TBR.
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually just borrowed the audiobook on
I
Libby.
think,
So
like, again, I think it's absolutely worth reading, listening to. I feel like maybe it's probably a good idea to be in the right headspace as well. Like, fortunately for me, I don't really have a lot of tragedy going on, so I felt very open to reading about it. But I think if someone maybe wasn't in the right place to do that, then
Yeah.
they should shy away from this one for a little bit till they're in a good spot. So Okay, so my second book, kind of taking a turn, is and I don't know if maybe you guys have read this or not. This, I think it's an older book, but I just hadn't read it yet. It's The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip
I
Williams.
had this on my TBR for so long. So I
Okay.
am super excited to hear your review of this.
Yes, so this is a historical fiction novel. So again, kind of taking that turn there. But here's another Goodreads recap of it. In 1901, the word bondmaid was discovered missing from the Oxford English Dictionary. This is the story of the girl who stole it. Esme is born into a world of words. Motherless and irrepressibly curious, she spends her childhood in the scriptorium, a garden shed in Oxford, England, where her father and a team of dedicated lexicographers, is that the right word?
Yeah,
Lexicographers? Okay.
sure. Sounds right.
Felt good. Are collecting words for the very first version of the Oxford English Dictionary. Esme's place is beneath the sorting table, unseen and unheard. One day, a slip of paper containing the word bondmaid flutters to the floor. Esme rescues the slip and stashes it in an old wooden case that belongs to her friend, Lizzie, a young servant in the big house. Esme begins to collect other words from the scriptorium that are misplaced, discarded, or have been neglected by the dictionary men. They help her make sense of the world. Over time, Esme realizes that some words are considered more important than others, and that words and meanings relating to women's experiences specifically often go unrecorded. While she dedicates her
Mm.
life to the Oxford English Dictionary, secretly, she begins to collect words for another dictionary, the Dictionary of Lost Words. Set when women's suffrage movement was at its height and the Great War loomed, the Dictionary of Lost Words reveals a lost narrative hidden between the lines of a history written by men. It's a delightful, lyrical, and deeply thought provoking celebration of words and the power of language to shape the world and our experience of it. So, I felt like that was a lot to like I don't know, maybe I should have written my own because I don't know if I would have used all of those exact expressions. But this is all a mostly true story, which I thought was really cool. I did not know that going in. I didn't read the back of the book. But like the book, so first of all, everyone here will appreciate it. The first page you open up, at least my version, there is a city map, which we all love and enjoy.
Love
Gotta
it.
love.
Yes, so
Yep.
you can see where everything is, and then the back of the book goes through like a very abbreviated version of like the full historical timeline of the dictionary. And then the like very last page is the a photograph of the person and his team behind like creating the Oxford English
Oh.
Dictionary. So I mean it's all mostly true. Esme's storyline, so who this is following, is not true, but I think it's like such a cool depiction of, just putting it through her eyes of how this came to be. So I said, I feel like it's very similar to like the Titanic. If you have to relate it to something like Jack and Rose weren't real, Esme is not real, but the rest of the events around it very much are.
Mhm.
Um, the project of creating the Oxford Dictionary and the people who did it are real. The largest fictional part, obviously, is Esme and her life. Um, Pip Williams, as I already said, has a map. She has a recap. She has all of these things that you are going to want to know about this historical event.
Love it.
Um, and I said, oddly enough, this book reminded me a lot of lessons in chemistry. I don't know why, but I feel like it's one of those stories of like an empowered woman who is being oppressed by men, always telling her that she is incorrect or that something is wrong or that what she thinks is not valid. And then she just goes ahead and does her own thing. And it's very much lessons in chemistry, but also in a very naive way. Because again, this is early 1900s. There's no one knows a lot. Like she, at one point, spoiler a little bit, but she ends up like getting pregnant and she doesn't like really understand because she also doesn't have a mom. So like it's just a
Mm.
lot of these like very kind of naive things happening, but because she's learning all of these women's words and like creating her own dictionary around it, she's able to then describe everything that's happening to her in that way, or like getting resources through those women helping her navigate this like almost underground world because women were just so pushed to the side at this time. So I think that it's just a really awesome story. I think it's beautifully written. You want everything to be real because there also is a beautiful love story component to it, that ends in tragedy, of course, as all things do in historical fiction, but it's like you want it to be so real. So I really appreciate that this was part of the timeline of the dictionary itself, because otherwise I feel like that's a really dry piece of content. So then to add this, really fun, beautiful narrative with it, it just
Yeah.
makes it worth reading. So if you want a historical fiction, pick me up kind of novel, I think it's worth reading. But just know going into it, there is World War One looming, so you have that part going on too.
Well, it's cool. Like, actually, my local book club, we had talked a little bit about historical fiction recently, and a couple of the ladies had been kind of, like, yeah, I love historical fiction. It feels like so much of it surrounds World War II, or like there's these specific eras or like time periods that are addressed, and then others that are not.
Mhm.
And it sounds to me, just from your setup and then from your review, that like this is one that touches on things differently, which for historical fiction is a great twist
Yeah,
and is really nice.
yeah,
So,
I really liked it. So Emily, start reading or
It's move.
listening.
It's moving up. A lot of listening these days.
Yeah,
As much as hands free, right, is where I got to be. But no, it sounds really good. And I love historical fiction, like
you
all of
had me
it.
with lessons in chemistry too.
I
Sorry.
was gonna say that. No, that too. I love lessons in chemistry. So
yeah.
like,
Yes.
say less, I'm in, and it's
I'll
all the
be
time.
curious if you guys make that same parallel when you end up reading it, because I don't know why, but I just was like, oh, this just feels very, I
Yeah.
mean, obviously 1970s versus 1900s kind of thing, but I just like
No,
it felt
still. Yeah.
very parallel in some ways.
Mhm.
So add it to your list.
Love it. Moving up the list, honestly.
Oh my goodness. Well, I feel like mine, oh my gosh. You're going to know. Okay, so let me just say this too. You're going to know the month that we're in, the season that we're in with my book picks, because I am like hot into summer reading right now, 100%, and I'm here for it. So, my first book to bring to the recap this month is The 5-Star Weekend by Ellen Hildebrand. And here's the setup, courtesy of Storygraph. Hollis Shaw's life seems picture perfect. She's the creator of the popular food blog Hungry with Hollis and is married to Matthew, a dreamy heart surgeon. But after she and Matthew get into a heated argument one snowy morning, he leaves for the airport and is killed in a car accident. The cracks in Hollis's perfect life, her strained marriage, her complicated relationship with her daughter, Caroline, all grow deeper. So when Hollis hears about something called a 5-star weekend, one woman organizes a trip for her best friend from each phase of her life, her teenage years, her 20s, her 30s, and midlife. She decides to host her first 5-star weekend on Nantucket, of all places. But the weekend doesn't turn out to be a joyful Hallmark movie. The husband of Hollis's childhood friend, Tatum, arranges for Hollis's first love, Jack Finnegan, to spend time with them, stirring up old feelings. Meanwhile, Tatum is forced to play nice with abrasive and elitist Drew Ann, Hollis's best friend from UNC Chapel Hill. Drew Ann's career as a prominent Chicago sports agent is on the line after her comments about a client's mental health issues are misconstrued online. Brooke, Hollis's friend from her 30s, just discovered that her husband is having an inappropriate relationship with a woman at work. Again. And then there's Gigi, a stranger to everyone, including Hollis, who reached out to Hollis through her blog. Gigi embodies an unusual grace and, as it happens, many secrets. The 5-Star Weekend is a surprising and captivating story about friendship, love, and self-discovery set on Nantucket. It will be a weekend like no other. So this was 4.5. Whoa, I'm not that ambitious to give 5.5. Sorry.
It's like, wow, that's an impressive book.
Yeah.
Right? No, so this one got 4.5 stars out of 5 for me. I've always been an Ellen Hildebrand fan. her characters, her prose, the way that she writes are always witty and fun, really intriguing, and a lot of plot twists, right? So she has this ability, in my opinion, as a writer to touch on these very deep or serious things, but to do it in a very tactful but also kind of lighthearted way. You guys have all probably, of course, seen How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Do you remember that scene where they're having their like business meeting at the beginning of the movie, and there's that girl that's like bringing up ideas for the magazine and whatever, and she's like, yeah, it's horrible, but surprisingly upbeat.
Yeah.
This book kind of gave me that vibe. Like, it's rough, but surprisingly upbeat.
I like it.
Also, if you're like me and you've never been to Nantucket, listener, I mean, all of Ellen Hildebrand's books based in Nantucket, it will always forever make you want to go there. It is definitely a dream destination of mine. And also, listener, before we actually started recording, the ladies and I were talking about a lot of like book to series or book to film adaptations. And this is another one that is out there. So super excited to see this translated to the screen as well.
How many does she have now? Because I feel like so many of her books are turning into series or movies.
Just like Emily Henry, yeah. Quite a few of hers have been optioned. As far as I'm aware, I don't know how many of them have actually like taken off, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Now, The Perfect Couple is the only one that's out there that has, to my knowledge, been done. I don't know if any of you read that book or watched that series.
Mm-mm.
Very, very good.
I watched the series. I did not read the book. I thought the series was really good.
So they certainly took some liberties, but I will be completely honest, as somebody that did read the book before watching the show, I thought they did a really great job, and it was a lot of fun. So, surprisingly upbeat. It's just a theme with Ellen Hildebrand, in my opinion, personally.
Yeah. Well, I think, Jordan, she has another book coming out this fall.
With her daughter, The Academy.
With her daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got like, and there's more coming for her, but this sounds like, I don't know how to say it, surprisingly upbeat, cute and fun, and yeah.
I'm telling you. So it's up there with one of my favorites of hers, because I've read The Perfect Couple, I've read The Hotel Nantucket. I want to say I've read at least 2 or 3 others of hers, and this is definitely up there. I don't know if I would put it as my first, but it's a very, very good one. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
So
Nantucket's on my bucket list too. I think we were all shaking our head when it was like, anyone been to Nantucket?
So what I'm hearing you say is girls' trip.
I was saying reading retreat, Nantucket.
That's what I'm hearing. 100%. I'm there. Just tell me when.
Done.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So my next book, also very summer heavy, right? We have The Summer Pact by Emily Giffin. Here's the setup. 4 freshmen arrive at college from completely different worlds. Lainey, a California party girl with a flair for drama. Tyson, a brilliant scholar and an aspiring lawyer from Washington, D.C. Summer, an ambitious recruited athlete from the Midwest. And Hannah, a mild-mannered Southerner who is content to quietly round out the circle of big personalities. Soon after arriving on campus, they strike up a conversation in their shared dorm, and the seeds of friendship are planted. As their college years fly by, their bond intensifies, and the 4 become inseparable. But as graduation nears, their lives are forever changed after a desperate act leads to tragic consequences. Stunned and heartbroken, they make a pact, promising to always be there for one another, no matter how separated they may become by circumstances or distance. 10 years later, Hannah is anticipating what should be one of the happiest moments of her life when everything is suddenly turned upside down. Calling on her closest friends, it soon becomes clear that they are all facing their own crossroads. True to their promise, they agreed to take a time out from their lives headed in the wrong direction and embark on a shared journey of self-discovery, forgiveness, and acceptance. In this tender portrayal of grief, love, and hope, Emily Giffin asks, when things fall apart, who will be at our sides, helping us pick up the pieces. So definitely another 4.5 out of 5 stars for me. I love Emily Giffin, and I'm actually just a couple of hours into an audiobook of another book of hers, and I will officially be an Emily Giffin completist after I've read this book, and I'm super excited. So I've read her books and absolutely love them. She is a phenomenal writer. I will give trigger warning. This is not really spoiling anything. I know our recaps stay spoiler free, not spoiler friendly, like our book clubs. But essentially what brings this group together is suicide. And so that is something that is obviously touched upon in this book. And I thought that it was very well done. Not my personal favorite of Emily Giffin's. I have to be honest, I'm not sure which one or like where I would rank them. I've read Emily Giffin, honestly, since I was a teenager, probably. So I would have to think back long and hard about which ones were my favorite. But the heavy topics discussed are written tastefully. It reminded me of The Wedding People, believe it or not, too. Like, and I feel bad for saying, how could it remind me of a book that I haven't read? But when you brought The Wedding People to our recaps, and then now you talked about notes on your sudden disappearance, and I'm like, oh, dang, like, sounds kind of similar. So anyway, I highly recommend. I think our Emily here
I was
has
just going to say, I've read this one, but this is my first Emily Giffin. I'm not even close to a completist. I'm a beginner, if you will, on her journey.
love.
So I went in when I read this book. I don't know, I read the summary, but maybe not in depth. So it was a little shocking, some of the heavier topics that were discussed. But Jordan, I completely agree with you that like she wrote about them very well in a book, because and maybe don't judge a book by its cover, right? The cover's like turquoise and like pretty and summery and looks good on the shelf, right? And is, you know, kind of happy looking. But the topics discussed, she does a very good job of writing about it, I think. I couldn't put it down when I was reading it. I like zoomed through it. And it's just a sweet, like you said it best, Jordan, you know, it's deep and emotional, but surprisingly upbeat. And
I have a habit for these books. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know how else to say it, but it's
my summer. I'm
well
manifesting.
There you go.
You both have made me want to return to Emily Giffin to read this one. So
please do.
Because so similarly, Jordan, this is not, I think Emily Giffin is like awesome.
I love her.
And I read like her, so I started with her Something Borrowed series like a long time ago. I have a bunch of her books on my shelf. But I haven't read a book since I read The Lies That Bind, right? That's what it's called.
The Lies That Bind. Yeah, yes. That was the 9/11 one.
Yeah, I haven't read an Emily Giffin book since I read that one.
Can you guess which one that I've been putting off or avoiding?
Have you been putting off Something Borrowed?
Something Blue is
that was going to be my next guess. I don't think she hasn't read Something Blue.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get into it off pod, but I started listening to the audiobook finally. I'm like, you know what? I just have to bite the bullet and do it.
I know. So good.
It's been really good so far. But yes, please come back to Emily Giffin. That would be wonderful. And this would be a good one to do so. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
And I think it just came out on paperback too. Sorry,
go ahead, Megan. Did it? Yeah. Okay, there you go. There you go.
I just pulled up. I don't think I've read any of them. I don't even know who this person is. Never heard of
her. I'm only one book ahead of you on that journey, so we can just walk that path, right? Yes. Yeah.
Bring any of her other books to the recap and we will happily discuss. But Perfect. There you go.
I have like 4 on my shelf. You can borrow them.
I think
you're coming in September.
Yeah, I'll pick some up. Perfect.
I have just about all of them. I'm missing like 1 or 2, but I have just about all of them. Yeah. So
love it. Anyway.
There you go. That was the Summer Pact by Emily Giffin.
Super fun. There definitely was a theme, Jordan, with how you're 2, but I love it. I love it. So I have been on a reading, like, I don't know if I call it a bonanza or what the right word is. But maybe it's like all the nap traps that I've been in that I like audiobook, Kindle, all of it. So yeah, we'll go with bonanza. So I am not going to cover Every Summer After and One Golden Summer, but Bree, shout out to you on, and Jordan, but all of you guys really on recommending reading those together and specifically reading Every Summer After and then One Golden Summer.
Yes.
Superb, exceptional. We kind of talked more about it on our last reading recap episode, so I'm not going to go into it, but I did in between read them, and it was like an extended vacation on Barry's Bay, and I just want to go back.
But do you love Charlie?
I love Charlie, but I think I went in wanting and knowing I was going to love Charlie after our reading recap conversation. Like,
I hyped him up a lot.
Well, and yes, in a good way, And I think reading, like knowing the summary of One Golden Summer, before I read Every Summer After, I could kind of like see where it was going. I was still utterly devastated by the events at the end of Every Summer After, and I will leave it there.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm a Charlie fan, minus that moment.
I hesitate to read Meet Me at the Lake because that's the only Carly Fortune one that I haven't read, and I don't hear the greatest of things, but I also want to be a Carly Fortune completist as well. So I'm going to.
Yeah, that might be, I was going to save those two for when I was at the lake, but maybe Meet Me at the Lake is a good one for me to read at the lake at the end of this month. We'll see, you know, but I'm gonna move past because I know we already talked about them, but they're great. 5 out of 5, highly recommend. Just read them both. But one of the ones I want to talk about today is I read or listened to Atmosphere.
Yes,
I'm
so
excited
to hear about this so bad.
Yes, Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Holy shit! Have to read. Like, next book, put on your list. Have to read.
Literally gonna buy it right.
I know. I'm
right
gonna
now.
go order it
right now. Literally, I did the audiobook, and I was a little skeptical because I've read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which was one of her other ones, and I liked it. Solid, liked it. I'm sorry, Megan. Like,
just liked it.
What?
I like intro book for her, and I loved it.
Same.
And then I was like, I'm gonna read everything now.
Okay, so I was like, I strongly liked it, and I loved Atmosphere. Absolutely loved. I think it was better than Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
Have you read any of her other ones, like Daisy Jones?
No, I haven't read Daisy Jones. So that one. Then I think it'd be a complete. Is that her? The 3, right?
No, she's
she's at a 10.
One True Love, Forever Interrupted.
A long way to go on my bingo
Another
card.
Life.
Malibu Rising.
Carrie
Malibu
Soto
Rising.
is back.
Carrie Soto is back. Like,
bigger bingo card for her.
Get on it.
Yeah, she's like, you're wrong. But Atmosphere. So I'll read the Goodreads for listeners that like haven't seen this all over Book Talk and Bookstagram and the entire universe. This is the summary. Goodread. I did not write this, but here we go. So Joan Goodwin has been obsessed with the stars for as long as she can remember. Thoughtful and reserved, Joan is content with her life as a professor of physics and astronomy at Rice University and is aunt to her precocious niece, Frances. That is until she comes across an advertisement seeking the first women scientists to join NASA's space shuttle program. Suddenly, Joan burns to be one of the few people to go to space. Selected from a pool of thousands of applicants in the summer of 1980, Joan begins training at Houston's Johnson Space Center alongside an exceptional group of fellow candidates. Top Gun pilot Hank Redmond and scientist John Griffin, who are kind and easygoing even when the stakes are highest. Mission specialist Lydia Danes, who has worked too hard to play nice. Warm-hearted Donna Fitzgerald, who is navigating her own secrets, and Vanessa Ford, the magnetic and mysterious aeronautical engineer who can fix any engine and fly any plane. As the new astronauts become unlikely friends and prepare for their first flights, Joan finds a passion and a love she never imagined. In this new light, Joan begins to question everything she thinks she knows about her place in the observable universe. Then, in December of 1984, on mission STS-LR9, everything changes in an instant.
Oh my gosh, I literally have goosebumps all over.
It like, Could not stop listening. Like, couldn't put it down. Was obsessed from the beginning. So the way the story is structured, and I'm gonna try really hard not to give anything away, is it starts with the catastrophe, and then it like goes back, and you get the like story as you then jump back and forth between like basically starting with her applying to and getting accepted to the space program, and then her so her role is not doing it. Her role in the disaster is she's called Capcom. So she is. We've all seen like Apollo 11 and all this space movie, right? Where you have the big room of people that are monitoring these missions.
Mm-hmm.
She's the only one who is in charge of communicating directly to like the astronauts in space. So it's her job to communicate during this event. And so it's really intense to go back to like how she got there and then jump to like in between that story, navigating this disaster. It's so good. You won't put it down. It's not that long. So honestly, you'd probably finish it in like less than a week. I did, at least on the audiobook. The characters were complex. I think Taylor Jenkins Reid just does this really well with her characters. Like, there was not a single character that I didn't feel, even the side characters I felt had depth and complexity, and like I was devastated and happy for them at various moments of the book, which I think is just her hallmark, but it was great. The back and forth timeline I liked a lot. It was just like, if you like reading, you'll like this. But if you like The Martian, Project Hail Mary, Apollo 11, or really any of Taylor Jenkins Reid other books, you will be as obsessed with this as I now am. It is my like top recommended release from this year. I think I've seen some people online, go like, hey, this is the book of the year. And I have no questions. I think it very well could be, might be, probably
Dang.
is.
I ordered it.
I already have it on my Kindle, so we'll talk.
Read it. Yeah, let me know what you think. It is like, I'm going to stop talking or I'm going to give away spoilers, but must read. So good. So good. My next book that I want to talk about is called The Storm We Made by Vanessa Chan. So this is one of World War II. I think that's like, Jordan, you were saying that, Megan, you were saying with World War I, like we always end up with a couple of these books, right? But this one was a different take and historical fiction, and kind of a piece of history that I was not as familiar with. So let me go through the summary. Goodreads again. I did not write this. This is from the internet. Thank you. This is a novel about a Malayan mother who becomes an unlikely spy for the invading Japanese forces during World War II. So it takes place in Malaysia, and the shocking consequences that rain upon her community and family. Malay, 1945. Cecilia Alcantara's family is in terrible danger. Her 15-year-old son, Abel, has disappeared, and her youngest daughter, Jasmine, is confined in a basement to prevent being pressed into service at the comfort stations. Her eldest daughter, Jujubee, who works at a tea house frequented by drunk Japanese soldiers, becomes angrier by the day. Cecily knows two things: that this is all her fault, and that her family must never learn the truth. A decade prior, Cecily had been desperate to be more than a housewife to a low-level bureaucrat in British colonized Malay. A chance meeting with the charismatic General Fujiwara lured her into a life of espionage, pursuing dreams of an Asia for Asians. Instead, Cecily helped usher in an even more brutal occupation by the Japanese. 10 years later, as the war reaches its apex, her actions have caught up with her. Now her family is on the brink of destruction, and she will do anything to save them. So this is definitely in the heartbreaking, emotional camp. It is a World War II story, so just it comes with all that entails and trigger warnings. There's a lot of talk of rape and things like that, during this occupation. I still think it's an excellent story, and worth reading. Again, it goes back and forth kind of from a decade prior when Cecily was first being introduced to the general, and then her role as a spy, and really feeling like she was helping her country get out from under British occupation for the better, was what she was trying to do. to then fast forward to, during World War II and what actually happened. And honestly, just how devastating the consequences were for her children. I think as a character, Cecily became one that I loved to hate because my sympathy for her was like short lived. Um, but I think it just an excellent story, the way it kind of weaves through. It also shows through the three children, like the different aspects of the occupation. So like Abel disappears, like a lot of teenage, sons did at that time. And there were comfort stations. So a lot of daughters were hidden, and that's her youngest daughter. Like it kind of showed the different pieces. The ending was absolutely heartbreaking. As I said, as I kind of love to hate Cecily in the middle of the book, by the end, she did have a redemption arc that kind of made it come full circle, if you will. But would highly recommend if you're looking for kind of a World War II historical fiction and not your, what I'll say classic, like European theater, World War II kind of story.
Emily, have you read Pachenko by
No.
Mingjin Lee?
Mm-mm.
You're
Good.
making me
On
think
the
of
list.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, I was trying to remember if that was also World War I or World War II.
I have it.
I'll send it your
I might have it
way.
on my
It
bookshelf.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking for it too. I know that it's up there somewhere.
Pachinko. I'm gonna have to look this up.
Oh, it is very, very good. I will say
Yeah.
that. It is very, very good. And it's making me I added this one, the storm we made, to my list for sure, because these are
really
the stories
good.
we need to hear and that we need to know about and to highlight. So
This reminds me a lot. I mean, like just thinking a different take on like World War II in general, but there's a book that I read probably a while ago now, and I can't remember what it was called, but it was another when America made their own version of concentration camps for all of the Japanese Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And I, for the life of me, cannot think of what that book was, but like it really stuck with me. And I
Yeah.
feel like for some reason, this is kind of giving me that illusion as well of just kind of the underbelly of World War II that you don't always hear about, but was very prominent and very there.
yes,
Very much so. And not something that, like I said, is, I don't know, it is studied, but it's not like talked about, or a lot of the World War II stories are more the European theater than
Right.
like some of these other pieces. So yeah, it's good, but I will like throw out there, it is a war story.
Yeah.
So just be prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome recommendations.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, well, if Jordan had a theme of summer, I had a theme of disassociation. And
Has that not been your annual theme? Your year?
it has. So far this year. So far this year, June was no different. I was very lucky to have read 2 books because I didn't read anything else. So,
That's okay.
and even like I was like, no, we were already supposed to record, and then today I was like, shoot, I don't even remember what these were about. So, I'm hoping that my recaps are gonna like jog my memory a little bit. So let me start. Okay, this book has been blowing up on Book Talk and Bookstagram, everything. Yep.
See your review. Yes.
Hold on. She's
excited.
beautiful too, let me tell you.
We got the sprayed edges, everybody.
She's gorgeous.
He's a beaut. Look at that.
Look at that.
She's
I
gorgeous.
have been so curious about this book.
So okay, let me get into it and then we'll talk about it. But yes, no, all good things. I have all good things to say. For whatever reason though, and sorry it's a tangent, this book, like, I can't remember its title without looking at it. Like when someone's like, "Oh, what book is that?" and I'm like, "I actually don't know. I have to go look." Like I like it will not stick in my head. So I am talking about Shield of Sparrows as I literally look at it because I like cannot. Shield of Sparrows by Daphne Perry, if that's how you say that. Okay. So I have the Goodreads recap for you all, word for word. The gods sent monsters to the five kingdoms. Megan, this one's for you.
Yeah. Love
Top
it.
rec for Megan.
She's like, and I'm out. Like,
Megan's
I'm
busting
really
out.
out her
word,
TBR and
like,
she's reading it next.
yeah,
word two.
I'm out.
Okay, the gods sent monsters to the five kingdoms to remind mortals they must kneel. I've spent my life kneeling, to their will and to my father's. As a princess, my only duty is to wear the crown and obey the king. I was never meant to rule, never meant to fight, and I was never supposed to be the daughter who sealed an ancient treaty with her own blood. But that changed the fateful day I stepped into my father's throne room, the day a legendary monster hunter sailed to our shores, the day a prince ruined my life. Now I'm crossing treacherous lands beside a warrior who despises me as much as I despise him, bound to a future I didn't choose and a husband I barely know. Everyone wants me to be something I'm not, a queen, a spy, a sacrifice. But what if I refuse the role chosen for me? What if I made my own rules? What if there's power in being underestimated? And what if for the first time I reached for it? I'm not gonna lie, I don't think that does a very good job of telling you how good this book is. So
Okay.
there's that.
Okay.
There is so much hype around this book, and in my opinion, it is very well deserved. And if you need me to tell you what it's actually about, we can go down that path. But you get
Bree
the
said, I'll give you the spoiler-friendly version.
yes. Well, no, I would keep it spoiler free, but honestly, like it was just a very fun read. Read it for the vibes. Read it for the vibes. Read it for the world building, the monsters.
Okay.
There's also like a bit of mystery. There's mysterious illnesses and powers and lots of tension, which is 100% worth it. There were a couple of times that the pacing felt like just a little bit off to me, but overall, like that was so minimal when you looked at the whole story. My biggest gripe with this book, and it's probably not warranted, but it's just the fact that Odessa, the main character, talks in questions all the time. And like to be fair, her questions are super valid because she also has like no idea what's going on, but she talks in questions like the whole book. And it's very in like whole paragraphs in
Okay.
that are just like her questions, her inner dialogue. So that was a little bit interesting, but then I was also like, but I too would probably talk like that if I were in her situation, so I don't can't be too mad about it. This book for me, I think it's still left like there's a lot that needs to be answered, but definitely in the best way, and that I'm anxiously awaiting book 2. And Megan, questions.
Well, I did have a question. I was going to ask, so like, does her like questioning everything make her seem kind of weak?
It doesn't. No,
Okay.
actually. I mean, I will say like she's very much she is sort of kind of set up to be that way from the beginning, where she's led like a very sheltered life, and she has a half sister, and the half sister has been like groomed to be a spy for her family for her entire life. And like Odessa was never supposed to be that person. The sister has always been the person who is like trained, knows how to do it. And there's just a lot about like her world outside of her castle and her kingdom that she doesn't understand and she is never prepared for. And then she is all of a sudden put in this situation where she's being sent to a foreign place. Her dad wants her to be a spy. She's never trained for it. She's like, I don't know how to be a spy, let alone be a spy in a place where like I don't know what's going on. But she never really I don't know, she's I guess like a little bit naive, but she does never come across as weak. She comes across more as somebody who's like is trying to ultimately like make her own way and is just figuring out who she can trust along the way. And also learning that like a lot of what she grew up hearing or learning from the people around her maybe isn't the full truth.
Okay.
Rhea, I have to say this is based on your description, giving major like poppy vibes from Blood and Ash.
I was
Honestly,
thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
It definitely, so it's funny you say that because I actually thought about that. Hopefully that doesn't say anything about the books to come. But it did give me, it was similar to that in terms of her, but there's a lot of like the world is very fun. There are already monsters in this world, but then there are monsters that are also like sick, and it's like, where did this come from? Why is this happening? Is it making them smarter to the point that they're like targeting people? And if that's the case, like, where did this come from? And I will say, in all of this at the same time, there's like this event that takes place every so often that the world is like preparing for across all countries. So you have that kind of looming over you too, that they're all sort of panicking for this. I don't think it's like an annual event. It's like every so often that these monsters come and they have to all prepare for like going into hiding. And so she also has that like looming in the back of her mind, but she now has to prepare for it in a country she's never been to and knows nothing about. And she's married to a guy she doesn't know. So like that
To top it all off.
that's
Oh, but yeah.
rough. But highly recommend. Not that
Okay.
this is anything, but Jared was trying to figure out his next read, and I was going through all sorts of books, and this is one that I was talking about, and he was like, that one sounds the most interesting, but I refuse to read a book that only has book 1 out. And so I was like,
Well, you gotta live a little sometimes.
yeah, you do.
You know?
Live
So
dangerously. Read book 1. Wait for book 2.
it's a lot of fun. It's a super fun read. Like, highly recommend if you like fantasy, romantasy. It is well worth it.
I love
Okay,
it.
continuing our theme. Is I read The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. Let me preface this by saying that I already have a massive crush on Rachel Gillig. So that let's just get that out there like right now. This recap is also from Goodreads. Hopefully it does an okay job. Sybil Delling has spent 9 years dreaming of having no dreams at all. Like the other foundling girls who traded a decade of service for a home in the great cathedral, Sybil is a diviner. We're going to go with it. In her dreams, she receives visions from 6 unearthly figures known as omens. From them, she can predict terrible things before they occur, and lords and common folk alike travel across the kingdom to learn their futures by her dreams. Just as she and her sister diviners near the end of their service, a mysterious knight arrives at the cathedral. Rude, heretical, and devishly handsome, I can't say that. Devishly. The knight Roderick has devishly, right? Devilishly. There we go. Devilishly. Oh my God. That's a tongue twister. The knight Roderick has no respect for Sybil's visions, but when Sybil's fellow sisters begin to vanish one by one, she has no choice but to seek his help in finding them. For the world outside the cathedral's cloister is wrought with peril. Only the gods have the answers she is seeking, and as much as she'd rather avoid Roderick's dark eyes and sharp tongue, only a heretic can defeat a god. Rachel Gillig is a master storyteller, like 100%, hands
So
down.
the obsession continues.
Yes. Has anyone here, not Megan, I already know that. Has anyone here read, shoot, why can't I think about it? The Shepherd King duology.
I'm not.
I'm looking it up now.
Oh my gosh. What are we doing? Stop.
Stop everything.
Read this and read it first. Then call me back.
Oh my gosh. You guys. Okay. You have to read it. It's completed
what again?
duology. Go do it. The Shepherd King duology. So Two Twisted Crowns is right there. Jared's reading book 1. What is it? Why can't I think of it right now? I'm like, I love her so much. I don't even know the title of her book. Please hold.
Oh, is it One Dark Window?
Yes. Okay. First of all, her writing is so beautiful. She's such a good storyteller and has every world that she creates is so unique. And I absolutely adore like how she tells a story and how she writes it. One Dark Window, that especially book one, but That Completed Duology is like in my top like favorites like of all time. I'm obsessed with it. Um, and I loved The Night and the Moth. Like this just made me love
Okay.
her even more. I could not put it down. I was very intrigued by Sybil and her sisters and like wanting to know so much more about their background and how they have these drowning dreams like right away. You're just like what is going on with these girls that they have no memory of their past, but they've committed a decade to serving this woman and these people, and like the way that they experience the dreams is very dark. It's a very like gothic overall feel with all of it, which is the same thing for the Shepherd King. um and then on top of that, you almost immediately have this mystery surrounding Sybil with each of the other girls disappearing one by one. And like they all, every night, they're all like huddled together because they're just being picked off. And so they're like trying to stay awake to be like, oh my gosh, like who's going to be taken next? And then, but, and so they'll try to stay awake, but like they'll fall asleep and then they'll wake up and it's like, oh, so and so's gone. And they, they all don't know, or they know their names, but like they all call each other by a number. So they've committed their lives. They've committed to 10 years of this, but they all go by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're not allowed to speak your name. They don't know anything about their history. And now they're all so excited for freedom and they're just disappearing. So, and right around this time, like this night, but also this entire, like the king and all these people have come because the king wanted to have his dreams done. So she kind of, they like click with this group of knights, people from the outside world that they don't know about. And they're like, we need your help. Or she's like, I need your help. So I loved the entire story. I adored Sybil as a character and Bartholomew Mew. I can't talk today. I'm so sorry.
I
You
will
do
Um,
great.
also, we have a book about a bear named Bartholomew, and we always call him Bartholomew as well. So I don't know why that like just slips off the tongue.
it does. Um,
I love it.
Bar- Bartholomew is
Uh-huh.
he. It brings so much light and happiness and jokes to this like to this story. He's so funny. I was laughing out loud to the point that I was like asking Jared because he's reading One Dark Window, and I was like, "Is that book funny?" I was like, "Because I'm like laughing out loud, and I don't remember laughing out loud." So yeah. So I think Rachel Gillig, if in case it wasn't clear, I think she's amazing, and I would highly recommend The Night
It's
and the Moth. But read the Shepherd King duology first. Goodness, read that duet first.
it's so funny. I went to there's a new indie bookstore like near me, so I went there today to like see their opening and everything, and I was about this close to buying The Night and the Moth, like this close. I bought another book instead, but now I might have to just go back and like
Go back.
should have gone with my gut on the first one. Yeah,
She I'm sorry. I think the way that one, her writing it's just gorgeous. Like I just love the way that she writes, but her stories are they're so unique from so many other things in the genre. Like the the magic systems that she creates in both of them are unlike anything that I've ever read. And so like even arguably, and I
adding
know
to.
yeah, Megan, I know you won't read it, but I am like, if she ever did want to rate, I think you would like Rachel Gillig's writing style. I can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
Megan,
Uh-oh,
we can't
did
hear
we can't hear you.
Sorry.
you.
There we go. I'm sitting here thinking how dumb I sound being like, "Oh, I don't read this kind of stuff." Like I as a reader, I feel like I should be more open-minded. So I am willing to read it, to read things. I just need to find the right things.
But I'm telling
But
you, I think you would potentially like Rachel Gillig.
Okay.
I also though, Megan, will throw out a point that like devil's advocate, there is something to be said for knowing yourself as a reader.
True.
And
Oh,
if there
absolutely.
are like genres or things that you just like, I have never found like one that I love,
Yeah.
then,
But
Doesn't mean we
okay.
won't all keep trying to suggest ones that you might love, but there is some in like knowing what you like and sticking with it. 100%.
but she does like she liked
Yes.
Addie LaRue
Mm-hmm.
and The Night Circus.
Yes.
And
Okay.
while neither of these are real world, although I would say The Night and the Moth feels very medieval-esque, like it feels real world sort of, just with like a hint of magic. So like I do think you would potentially like it.
Okay.
And I think you would like Rachel Gillig's writing.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I can get behind a well-written book. I can get
if
behind
you're
a
ever
well-told story.
if you're ever feeling the need to give it a shot,
Sure. For sure.
would recommend. Shield of Spares is not going to be for you. I don't. that, that one's not. So those are my books.
Love it.
I'll try really hard to branch out for you guys the remainder of the year.
See, but
See,
we
and
all
that's the
have-
thing. You know what you like
Yes,
too. I think it
exactly.
is. I'm with Emily. I think there's something to be said. You know, I listened to this other podcast called the Currently Reading Podcast, and they talk about like reader know thyself, like know when to pick up a book, put down a book, know when it's okay not to finish a book or to, you know, like become a completist of an author. Like, so I'm with Emily in that there is something to be said for knowing yourself, and then also for acknowledging, you know, hey, I'm in a space right now where I am willing to branch out or to try something different. Or, you know what, I'm not in that space at the moment, but you know, so
I'll say. We've been talking and I'm like, oh, okay, like I feel like I'm heading into a space where I can maybe not, like I could go into the real world of books. But then as I say that, I'm like, I'm full on reading Harry Potter fan fiction right now.
Oh my God.
do it. That's so great.
So Manacled is
Yes.
the book, right? And it's Harry Potter fanfic. And the premise, I don't know, Megan or Jordan, have you seen Manacled? Okay, so
I thought I saw you share about it, but I haven't read it.
Okay. And I was
No.
like, Emily, shut the front door. I'm reading it right now.
okay. I am like I'm with you, Brie. The like obsession that has overcome me, and so I am a Harry Potter fan, like
Same.
massive fan. I mean, when the books came out, I remember I like locked myself in my room and read them in 2 days. Right, that was my Harry Potter experience. So the premise of this book, fanfic, is what if Voldemort won the war, and like,
And what if books
what
6 and 7 never happened?
never happened? Like he won the war, basically.
Yes.
So it is Harry Potter darker than ever, plus
Dark.
like fall off the cliff, dark.
Ooh.
And
How do you
plus,
get this?
plus
And
The Handmaid's Tale.
Fine.
You have to read it
Oh.
on a PDF.
You
Yeah,
read
plus
that
The
one?
Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah. Wait, Brie, hang on. You can get it on your Kindle, like complete, like a book.
Kindle.
How? Wait.
How?
Girl, I'm reading this thing on my phone. Legitimately, I'll show
Wait,
you.
whoa. Time. How?
This is me reading this book.
This reminds me of
I don't have my Kindle here. It's upstairs. But what? Oh my gosh.
Wait, how did you?
Yeah, I don't
Oh
have
my
a Kindle either.
Well,
I need to bleep out like what I said
Emily.
about for how obsessed I am with the book. But it is like,
No, don't.
You gave it a disclaimer, and we're an explicit
did.
podcast.
Here's the thing, it was 100% not the right word, and I knew it going into it, but like that, it is where we're at. But yeah, don't have a Kindle. 2, also, and I was having this conversation with someone yesterday, and Emily and I have been having side conversations because it is very dark. Like, this story is very dark. There are all sorts of trigger warnings to, like, be aware of.
I think we've hit almost every trigger warning you might have.
Need. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many trigger warnings. So, I don't know where this is going. But, like, I can't stop reading it to find out. But I'm going to go ahead and say this. Here's the thing. Hermione and Ron never should have happened. And I was in that camp. I was in that camp from the beginning. It never should have happened. So, like, this is, I don't know if it's giving us, like, the journey that we needed, but, like, I never
like,
wanted.
I know I've gone off on a tangent. I do like, I mean, this is kind of weird to say because it's like, if you know the Handmaid's Tale, you know how like twisted and awful that is. Um, so like, I like the pairing with Hermione, but not the manner in which it's happening.
No.
That's where I'm at. But I'm kind of, it's really intriguing to do the what if. And I am
It's
super
super.
impressed with the writing. It feels like a Harry Potter book that grew up. Like the characters have stayed true to, like, it sometimes fanfic doesn't always maybe like stay as close to the story, and this author did a phenomenal job of staying close to, it feels like a Harry Potter book that grew up with trigger. Yeah.
Well, and they're older. Like
Right.
they're in their mid
They're
20s. So like
mid to late
they're
20s, somewhere in there. Yeah.
yeah, mid to late 20. Like they're older. But it is, I totally agree with you. Like it really feels like a believable version of what could have happened
100%.
with that story. Um I don't know where this is gonna go and like how it makes sense.
I'll throw it out there because, like, so because Megan and George, you guys we all read Harry Potter. I don't know who hasn't read Harry Potter. It's an enemies to lovers art supposedly, or trope, right? And I'm really confused. I'm only about 15% of the way through, and this is what I was telling Bree. Is I'm like, I'm really confused since you know that like the Handmaid's Tale like vibe. I'm really confused how we're gonna go from that enemies to lovers. That's where I'm. Yeah, Jordan, your face. That's
See, I
that's
just
where I'm
don't
at
know
right
if
now.
I want to do this.
That's where I'm at right now.
What I'm
You do
thinking,
once you start.
But you do.
because listen, as you've been talking about it, the phrase that's been coming to my mind is ignorance is bliss. And I was content with the ending of book 7. I was perfectly fine. And whether or not I want to pick it up again and visit that world, we'll see how I feel. But
Jordan, I will say I downloaded Manacled onto my Kindle like a year ago. Like, it's taken me.
I don't think you can download it anymore, just as a heads up.
that's
Really?
what I was about
Yeah,
to tell
I'm
you,
pretty,
because
I
I
don't
was
think you
looking
can.
as we were talking. I found like I can listen to the audio or I can read it just like
A
Bree
PDF.
is talking about.
Yep.
I don't know,
Yeah.
like, so don't get rid of your download.
Yeah, don't
Well,
get rid of
but let me tell you, what I'm reading on my Kindle is the PDF I emailed to my Kindle.
Oh, you emailed the
okay.
PDF to yourself. Okay, then that's different.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I've never
Yeah.
done that.
That makes more sense. But it's not available for because she's getting published.
I'm saying she has a book coming out this fall, I think.
It is manacled, but hold on.
What?
It is manacled except for the fact that like because it's being published, she had to change all of the characters and like it can't be fan fiction.
Oh.
So it's like
But that's
it's
gonna
the same story but different.
I don't know if I'm loving that, because part of what, I don't know, my opinion is it was Harry Potter, it was Hermione. Like, we were back with,
I know.
but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You have to keep reading and you're gonna get to a point and I think you're gonna know it and you just have to tell me when you get there.
Okay. I'm really nervous now because so far we're peacefully folding paper cranes in a room. It doesn't give anything away. That's about where I'm at.
And on that note,
Yeah,
buckle up.
buckle up. We need a soundboard, I'm thinking, at some point. Like applause, buckle up sound. Like,
oh my gosh, yes,
Mhm.
please. That would be amazing.
All right,
keep reading.
Stay tuned. One of us will tell you about Manacled in next month's reading.
It'll probably be in next month's reading weekend. Yes.
Cool. Well,
No.
I don't even know what to say. Let's see. What else do we have coming up this month on the podcast, we have another author interview with Virginia Trench and her novel Our Secrets Were Safe. I almost said Our Secrets Are Safe. It's definitely past tense. Our Secrets Were Safe. Awesome conversation with her, and her book is releasing this month in July, so be on the lookout for that. I would say, well, one, I love talking with her, and Jordan, she's actually going to be like at a book in Denver, at a bookstore in Denver, the one at Union Station for
Okay.
her book release. So
Nice.
I will try to tell you what that is if you want to go by, but
Yeah.
her book is very much like, I would say, Pretty Little Liars, but for adults.
Love.
So, some college friends, and they all have a secret, but you're getting a flashback, kind of like Emily, you were talking about with your books, where you're getting some like present day and then some flashbacks from another character, past tense. So really, really like just a good summer thriller, summer mystery, and an awesome conversation with her. And then, of course, we have our series special continuing with The Last Devil to Die. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. By Richard Osman. So super excited to chat with you ladies about that as well. And that kind of rounds out our July episodes. Lots of books.
So little time.
Love it.
So little time. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, listening. Let us know what you're reading, rate, review, subscribe. Be sure to follow the podcast on Instagram. And of course, follow Jordan and Emily as well. And plug yourself.
You can find me at Cozy Reads and Sips.
And you can find me at Books.Bottles.
And we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.